Monsieur Alain Chretien is visiting Denver as a participant in the International Visitor Leadership Program. He's the mayor of Vesoul, France, a city in the east of France near the Swiss and German borders. He is also a member of the National Assembly, like our Congress, representing the center-right opposition party, Union for a Popular Movement. Welcome, Monsieur Chretien.
Thank you.
What have you learned or observed since you've been here?
I think here the grassroots are very important. The private initiative, private ideas are very important, and a lot of projects or ideas are growing up with the public when the local government can take these ideas to make new projects.
Has anything surprised you other than our bad winter weather?
I'm very surprised by the important parts with private corporation, with the market is very important here, more than in European countries, especially in France, where public sector are everywhere. I know that here, corporation, private enterprise are very important, more than public sectors.
One of your interest areas is counter-terrorism. What lessons have you learned about terrorism that you would like to share with your American colleagues? And what new challenges do you see for Europe in this area?
You know, I think that dialogue between religion is very important. And in France, we have 5 million French Muslims, and these French Muslims are not terrorists. Just a very few of them are radicalized. So we have organized a big dialogue between all the religion in France. France is a secular country, of course, but we can't ignore that Muslim religion is become more and more important, and we have to organize this religion in France.
Do you see the same challenge for the rest of Europe? And is it the same in, say, Germany and Britain and other parts of the continent?
Yes, this trend is all over Europe, and we couldn't have a war of civilization between Eastern countries and Western countries. We have to make a dialogue with Lebanon, with Syria, with Iraq and the other Muslim countries to know well themselves.
And does that dialogue happen really at the local level in communities like Vesoul? What would that look like in your city?
It's very important to have this dialogue at the lower level of the society, because ignorance creates violence. So to avoid violence, we have to build bridges between religion and between citizens.
So in Paris, as I understand it, there's some of the suburban areas are where the trouble has been the worst. Do those suburban areas follow the lead of small cities like Vesoul?
We have to. It's a big deal. And the government is aware of that. The government tried to build this dialogue even in these parts of big cities. French Republic is everywhere, and we have to speak with all the citizens, even in these small parts of certain big cities who have this trouble.
So the whole world was focused on France during the Charlie Hebdo tragedy. What are your reflections on that incident?
You know, everybody was shocked by this terrorist attack, but I think that a lot of French people were aware of that, and we are very surprising. But some of the French people it could arrive. It could arrive because now in France you have big tensions between these groups, religious and Muslim and Catholics, etc. So it's not a surprise for us. And a lot of people are afraid of repeating these terror attacks in the next few months.
Mm. Do you fear or do you see signs of an anti-Muslim backlash as a result of that incident?
Yes, unfortunately, we have seen some violent acts against the Muslim, And we have very severe laws against that. And the French government is fighting against this act, against the Muslim, but also against the Jewish and also Catholic churches. So religious take a big place in the political debate in France now.
Do you think French citizens are prepared to give up some of their freedom of speech in order to get more of a sense of security?
You know, freedom is important, liberty is important in France, like in the US. But sometimes when there is big events, big terrorist attacks, you have to think about different way to express our liberty of speech. And that's why we prepare a bill to restrain sometimes the liberty of speech when the security of the country is under threat.
But would the law that you're considering right now change what Charlie Hebdo could publish?
You know, Charlie Hebdo was aware of this threat. Yes. They know that they live under danger, and they know the risk of this liberty of expression, of freedom of speech. So that's why Charlie Hebdo has to continue to express like he wants. And we have, all the citizens have to think about the limits, their own limits, to protect themselves and to avoid to make violence with other religion. So it's up to us to restrain our own liberty, to protect their liberty for everyone.
Would the citizens do this voluntarily, or would there be a law saying no more cartoons with Prophet Muhammad?
I think both. I think it's a trend with laws and our common behavior. We have to, the French have to think about that themselves, and as a congressman, I have to modify the law to protect the freedom of speech, but also to protect the security of the country.
So to us, it's a little unusual that you would be a mayor of a town, and also at the same time that you would serve as a congressman. That's our language, member of the National Assembly. So what do you see the advantages of holding those two positions, and what would be the disadvantages?
You know, France is a central state. It's not a federal state, but a central state where everything is in Paris. You have to be in Paris to get more money for your country, for your constituency. You have to get in Paris to fight for your city. So it's important to be mayor and a congressman. But in 2017, it will be forbidden by a new law. Yes. So I have to make a choice between mayor or congressman. It would be an hard choice because these two functions are very important and very interesting and very complementary, we can say that, between the local issues and the national issues.
Mr. Chretien, thank you very much for being with us today on WorldDenver Talks.
Merci beaucoup.
Yes.
Thank you.